Have you had your shower yet, Janie? Her mother's voice from below the stairs drifting smokily up to her, barely audible where she lay in her bed. Louder now, insistent. Janie, will you answer me? She got up, cat-stretched, walked into the hall to the landing where her mother could hear her. I've been reading. But I told you that Uncle Gus was coming over this afternoon. I hate him, said Janie softly. You're muttering. I can't understand you. Frustration, anger, and frustration. Come down here at once. When Janie reached the bottom of the stairs, her mother's image was rippled. The little girl blinked rapidly, trying to clear her watering eyes. Janie's mother stood tall and ample, fresh smelling above her in a satiny summer dress. Mommy always looks nice when Uncle Gus is coming. Hey, why are you crying? Anger had given way to concern. Because, said Janie. Because why? Because I don't want to talk to Uncle Gus. But he adores you. He comes over especially to see you. No, he doesn't, said Janie, scrubbing at her cheek with a small fist. He doesn't adore me. He doesn't come over especially to see me. He comes to get money from Daddy. Her mother was shocked. That's a terrible thing to say. But it's true. Isn't it true? Your Uncle Gus was hurt in the war. He can't hold down an ordinary job. We just do what we can to help him. He never liked me, said Janie. He says I make too much noise and he never lets me play with Whiskers when he's here. That's because cats bother him. He's not used to them. He doesn't like furry things. Her mother touched at Janie's hair. It's soft gold. Remember that mouse you got last Christmas? How nervous it made him? Remember? He was smart, said Janie. He didn't like Uncle Gus, same as me. Mice neither like nor dislike people, Janie's mother told her. They're not intelligent enough for that. Janie shook her head stubbornly. Pete was very intelligent. He could find cheese anywhere in my room, no matter where I hid it. That has to do with basic sense of smell, not intelligence, her mother said. But we're wasting time here, Janie. You run upstairs, take your shower, and then put on your pretty new dress, the one with red polka dots. They're strawberries. It has little red strawberries on it. Fine. Now, just do as I say. Gus will be here soon, and I want my brother to be proud of his niece. Blonde head down, her small heels dragging at the top of each step, Janie went back upstairs. I'm not going to report this to your father, Janie's mother was saying. Her voice dimming on the little girl continued upward. I'll just tell him you overslept. I don't care what you tell Daddy, murmured Janie. The words were smothered in hallway distance as she moved towards her room. Sometimes it was true about oversleeping. It was hard to wake up from her afternoon nap. Because I put off going to sleep because I hate it. Along with eating broccoli and taking colored vitamin pills in little animal shapes and seeing the dentist and going on roller coasters. Uncle Gus had taken her on a high, scary roller coaster ride last summer at the park, and it made her vomit. He liked to upset her, frighten her. Mommy did not know about all the times Uncle Gus said scary things to her or played mean tricks on her or took her places she did not want to go. Mommy would leave her with him while she went shopping, and Janie absolutely hated being there in his dark old house. He knew the dark frightened her. He'd sit there in front of her with all the lights out, telling scary stories with sick, awful things in them, his voice oily and horrible. She'd get so scared listening to him that sometimes she'd cry, and that made him smile. Gus, always so good to see you. Hi, sis. Come on inside. Jim's putting around in the back somewhere. I've mixed us a nice lunch, sliced turkey, and I made some cornbread. So, where is my favorite niece? Janie's down here any second. She'll be wearing her new dress just for you. Well now, isn't that nice? She was watching from the top of the stairs, laying flat on her stomach so she would not be seen. It made her sick, watching Mommy hug Uncle Gus that way each time he came over, as if it had been years between visits. Why couldn't Mommy just see how mean Uncle Gus was? All of her friends in class saw he was a bad person the first day he took her to school. Kids can tell right away about a person, like that mean old Mr. Kruger in geography who made Janie stay after class when she forgot to do her homework. All the kids knew that Mr. Kruger was awful. Why does it take grown-ups so long to know things? Janie slid backward into the hall's shadows, stood up. Time to go downstairs in her play clothes. Probably meant she'd get a spanking after Uncle Gus left. But it'd be worth it not to have to put on her new dress for him. Spankings don't hurt too much. Worth it. Well, here's my little princess. Uncle Gus was lifting her hard into the air to make her dizzy. He knew how much she hated being strung around in the air. He set her down in a thump, and looked at her with his big cruel eyes. And where's that pretty new dress your mommy told me about?
It got torn, Jeannie said, staring at the carpet. I can't wear it today.
Her mother was angry again. That's not true, young lady, and you know it. I ironed that dress this morning, and it is perfect. She pointed upward. You march right back upstairs to your room and put on that dress. No, Maggie. Yes shook his head. Let the child stay as she is. She looks fine. Let's just have lunch. He prodded Janie in the stomach. Bet that little tummy of yours is starved for some turkey. And Uncle Gus pretended to laugh. Janie was never fooled. She knew real laughs from pretend laughs, but Mommy and Daddy never seemed to know the difference. Janie's mother sighed and smiled at Gus. All right, I'll let it go this time, but I really think you spoil her. Nonsense, Janie and I understand each other. He stared down at her. Don't we, sweetie? Lunch was no fun. Janie could not finish her mashed potatoes, and she just nibbled at her turkey. She could never enjoy eating with her uncle there. As usual, her father barely noticed she was at the table. He did not care if he wore her new dress or not. Mommy took care of her, and Daddy took care of business, whatever that was. Janie could never figure out what he did, but he left every day for some office she'd never seen, and he made enough money there that he always seemed to give to Uncle Gus when Mommy asked him for a check. Today was Sunday, so Daddy was home with his big newspaper to read and the car to wax and the grass to trim. He did the same things every Sunday.
Does Daddy love me? I know that Mommy does, even though she spanks me sometimes, but she always hugs me after. Daddy never hugs me. He buys me ice cream and he takes me to movies on Saturday afternoon, but I don't think he loves me.
Which is why she could never tell him the truth about Uncle Gus. He'll never listen. And Mommy just didn't understand. After lunch, Uncle Gus grabbed Janie firmly by the hand and took her to the backyard. Then he sat her down next to him on the big wooden swing. I bet your new dress is ugly, he said in a cold voice.
It's not. It's pretty.
Her discomfort pleased him. He leaned over, closer to her right ear. Want to know a secret? Janie shook her head.
I want to go back with Mommy. I don't like it out here.
She started away, but he grabbed her, pulling her roughly back onto the swing. You listen to me when I talk to you. His eyes glittered. I'm going to tell you a secret about yourself.
Then tell me.
He grinned. You got something inside.
What's that mean?
It means there's something deep inside your rotten little belly, and it's alive.
Huh?
She blinked, beginning to get scared. A creature that lives off what you eat and breathes the air you breathe and can see out your eyes. He pulled her face close to his. Open your mouth, Janie, so I can look and see what's living down there.
No, I won't.
She attempted to twist away, but he was too strong.
You're lying. You're just telling me an awful lie. You are.
Open wide. He applied pressure to her jaw with the fingers on his right hand. Her mouth opened. Ah, that's better. Let's have a look. He peered into her mouth. Yes, there. I can see it now. She drew back, eyes wide, really alarmed.
What's it like?
Nasty, horrid, with sharp teeth. A rat, I'd say, or something like a rat. Long and gray and plump.
I don't have it! I don't!
Oh, but you do, Janie. His voice was oily. I saw its red eyes shining, and it's a long, snaky tail. It's down there, all right. Something nasty. And he laughed. Real this time. No pretend laugh. Uncle Gus was having some fun. Janie knew he was just trying to scare her again, but she wasn't absolutely 100% sure about the thing inside. Maybe he had seen something.
No. Any other people have creatures living in them?
Depends, said Uncle Gus. But bad things live inside bad people. Nice little girls don't have them.
I'm nice.
Well, now, that's a matter of opinion, isn't it? His voice was soft and unpleasant. If you were nice, you wouldn't have something nasty living inside.
I don't believe you,
said Janie, breathing fast.
How can it be real?
Things are real when people believe in them. He lit a long black cigarette, drew in the smoke, exhaled it slowly. Have you ever heard of voodoo, Janie? She shook her head. The way it works is, this witch doctor puts a curse on someone by making a doll and sticking a needle into the doll's heart. Then he leaves the doll at the house of the man he's cursed. When the man sees it, he becomes very frightened. He makes the curse real by believing in it.
And what happens?
His heart stops and he dies. Janie felt her own heart beating very rapidly. You're afraid, aren't you, Janie?
Maybe. A little.
You're afraid, all right, he chuckled. And you should be with a thing like that inside of you.
You're a very bad and wicked man,
she told him, tears misting in her eyes, and she ran swiftly back to the house. That night in her room, Janie sat rigid in bed, hugging Whiskers. He liked to come in late after dark and curl up on the coverlet just under her feet and snooze there until dawn. He was an easygoing gray and black house cat who never complained about anything and always delivered a small meep of contentment whenever Janie picked him up for some stroking. Then he began to purr. Tonight Whiskers was not purring. He sensed the harsh vibrations in the room and sensed how Janie was. He quivered uneasily in her arms.
Uncle Gus lied to me, didn't he, Whiskers?
The little girl's voice was strained, uncertain.
See?
She hugged the cat closer.
Nothing's down there, huh?
And she yawned her mouth wide to show her friend that no rat thing lived there. If one did, old Whiskers would be sticking a paw inside to get it, but the cat did not react, just blinked slitted green eyes at her